The message came just as I was finalizing my holiday plans. Honey, your father and I think it's best if you skip Thanksgiving this year. We just want a quiet celebration with Emma and her family. You understand, right? I stared at the screen, a bitter smile forming. Of course they wanted me to skip another family gathering. Emma, my younger perfect sister with her perfect husband and perfect twins, had always taken center stage. And me. I was the quiet afterthought. I'm Olivia. I'm 34. And by now, I'm used to being overlooked. When Emma got praised for baking cookies, it was a family event. When I made partner at my law firm, a polite smile, followed by a conversation about Emma's twins starting preschool. Even the dinner I hosted to celebrate my promotion somehow became about them. Still staring at the screen, I typed back, "Sure, Mom. Have a wonderful time." My fingers were steady, even if my stomach churned. What they didn't know was that their text had sealed my decision. 3 months earlier I bought a villa. Yes, a villa in the French Riviera. I didn't tell my immediate family. Why would I? It was meant to be a quiet surprise. A gift to myself. But also, a declaration. The villa was stunning. Wide balconies overlooked the glittering Mediterranean. Spacious rooms. Kitchen made for feasts. And I had someone in mind to share it with. The rest of my family. The ones who showed up. Aunt Marie, who taught me to bake while Mom was busy fussing over Emma's dance recitals. Uncle James, who made the cross-country trip to my law school graduation when my parents skipped it for Emma's baby shower. Cousins who remembered my birthday and asked about my life. Not just out of politeness, but with genuine interest. They knew about the villa. About the promotion. About me. When I mentioned the idea of hosting Thanksgiving in France, their excitement lit up our group chat. Just booked our flights. Aunt Marie wrote. Can't wait to try French cuisine, Thomas added. This beats boring hometown Thanksgiving. Cousin Michael said, already planning the wine tour for Friday. 23 people confirmed. Aunts, uncles, cousins, their children. Everyone except my parents and Emma. Planned everything. Private vineyard tours, cooking classes with a local chef, and a Thanksgiving feast that would blend American tradition with French elegance. I even hired a professional photographer to capture every laugh, every toast, every unforgettable moment. Then, another message from Mom. Maybe you can come for Christmas instead, if Emma's schedule permits. I almost laughed. Always conditional. Always based on Emma. I didn't reply. Instead, I stood on my villa's terrace and watched the sun sink into the Mediterranean. The staff had everything under control, but I still fussed over the details. Bedrooms assigned. Activities lined up. Menus finalized. This wasn't just a vacation. It was a statement. A few days before Thanksgiving, Mom called. Olivia, honey, I hope you're not too disappointed about Thursday. Emma's twins have been so fussy lately. And you know how your father gets with too much chaos. Don't worry about me, Mom, I said, watching the waves. I won't be alone. Oh, do you have plans with friends? Her surprise was almost funny, like it was impossible I could have a life outside their orbit. Something like that, I replied. Actually, I need to go finalize some arrangements. You're not working through Thanksgiving, are you? You know how we feel about. Goodbye, Mom. Give my love to Emma and the twins. I hung up just as Aunt Marie's car pulled into the circular driveway. She stepped out arms wide. Olivia, this place is incredible. She hugged me tight. Your parents have no idea what they're missing, do they? Not yet, I said with a smile. But they will. Uncle Thomas whistled as he took in the view. Their loss is our gain. I can't wait to see their faces when the photos hit Facebook. Neither can I admitted. The days that followed were a joyful blur. One by one, family arrived. The villa echoed with laughter and clinking glasses. Meals turned into celebrations. Games, stories, hugs. For the first time in years, I felt surrounded. Not by obligation but by love. The night before Thanksgiving, we gathered on the terrace for a welcome dinner. I raised my glass. To family, I said, looking around at the people who had chosen me without condition. The ones who remembered, supported, showed up. 23 glasses clinked in unison. Tomorrow would be unforgettable, for us and for those who chose not to come. Because back in their quiet little home, my parents would soon see the photos. The sun-drenched villa. The long table lined with food and joy. The family they chose to overlook. Thanksgiving morning at the villa was everything I'd imagined. And more. The scent of freshly baked croissants mingled with the warm, savory aroma of roasted turkey as our private chef masterfully blended French cuisine with American tradition. Children's laughter echoed through the villa's marble halls as my younger cousins played hide-and-seek among antique furniture. My phone buzzed. Emma, happy Thanksgiving. Mom wanted me to check if you're okay by yourself. We could FaceTime later if you're feeling lonely. I looked up from my phone and around the villa. Hardly quiet or lonely. Aunt Marie and Cousin Sarah were laughing as they arranged flowers for the dining table, playfully debating whether gold or silver napkin rings looked more elegant. Uncle James was out in the garden showing the teenagers how to play pétanque, while others were helping in the kitchen or exploring the nearby village. Lonely. I hadn't felt this connected in years. Me thanks, but I'm quite busy actually. Enjoy your quiet celebration, smiling face with smilings. Late morning, the photographer arrived. He moved through the villa with ease, capturing effortless, candid moments. Cousins sipping wine on the sun-drenched terrace, children running through the gardens, adults clinking glasses in the warm Mediterranean breeze. These photos are magazine-worthy, he said, showing me a few shots. The lighting, the location, the smiles, it's magical. Around noon, my phone rang. Olivia. Are you sure you don't want to join us for dessert later? Emma's making her famous pumpkin pie. I stepped out onto my private balcony. Below, Uncle James was patiently guiding my youngest cousin through her first pétanque toss. Actually, Mom, I'm in the middle of hosting lunch. Can I call you back? Hosting, she repeated, confused. Then, as if catching background noise through the phone, the laughter, the clatter of plates, she paused. Where are you exactly? France, I replied simply. The French Riviera, to be precise. I bought a villa here a few months ago. The silence that followed was deafening. You bought a villa in France? Her voice rose, startled. Why didn't you tell us? Why would I? You've made it clear my life isn't much of a priority. I didn't want to disrupt your peaceful Thanksgiving. Another pause. A longer one. Who are you hosting? Oh, just the family. Aunt Marie and Uncle Thomas. Uncle James and his crew. All the cousins and their kids. Everyone except you, Dad, and Emma. I let it sink in. They've been here all week. Wine tastings, cooking classes, village tours. It's been wonderful. I could hear the wheels turning in her head, calculating the long list of family members who had chosen my celebration over hers. All week. But they always come to our house. Things change, Mom. Sometimes people prefer to go where they're genuinely wanted. That's not fair, Olivia. We just wanted a quiet. I need to go. The photographer wants group shots before lunch, and Chef Antoine is about to serve the first course. I ended the call. Aunt Marie appeared in the doorway just as I turned around. Her eyes full of warmth and satisfaction. Let me guess, she said with a knowing smile. Catherine finally realized what she's missing. He nodded. She pulled me into a hug. Good, she said firmly. Maybe next time they'll think twice before leaving you out. The afternoon was a feast in every sense. Chef Antoine's menu was a flawless fusion of traditional Thanksgiving dishes and refined French cuisine. The turkey was perfectly roasted, served alongside both classic stuffing and Provençal delicacies. Every course was paired with wines from nearby vineyards. Glasses clinked. Laughter spilled through the villa like sunlight. As we sat at the long table on the terrace, the sky painted in gold and pink, I looked at the faces around me. Faces filled with love, with joy, with pride, and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, gratitude. Not for my parents' exclusion, but for what it had made clear. This was my family. The people who showed up. Who included rather than ignored. Who chose me back. My phone buzzed throughout the evening. Texts from Emma. Missed calls from Mom. Even one from Dad. I ignored them all. Instead, I soaked in the moment. Uncle James telling old college stories, cousins planning a coastal hike, children sneaking extra slices of tart when their parents weren't looking. The photographer captured every detail, every laugh, every memory, because this wasn't just a one-time gathering. This was the beginning of something new. The next morning, I woke to the sound of waves and cheerful chatter drifting in from the garden. I slipped out onto the balcony. Below, cousins gathered for breakfast on the terrace. Kids played by the fountain. The Mediterranean sparkled in the early sun. My phone had blown up overnight. The photographer had delivered the first batch of photos, and as planned, everyone had begun sharing them. Pictures of our vibrant, joy-filled Thanksgiving flooded social media. Captions full of warmth and gratitude. Hashtags. Location tags. At the top of my notifications. A request from Emma to add me to her close friends list on Instagram. Something she had never done before. Smiled. I knew what was coming next. Tomorrow, when the posts made their way to my parents' feed, when they saw the smiles, the toasts, the packed tables, the family, they'd realize exactly what their quiet Thanksgiving had cost them. But that was tomorrow's story. Today, I had a real family to celebrate with, and a new tradition to nurture in the home I built, surrounded by those who chose me. And that was something truly worth being thankful for. The photos were stunning. A golden sunset washing over the terrace. Children laughing in the Mediterranean garden. Elegant tables set against a shimmering sea. Candid shots of real joy, captured in every frame. Aunt Marie posted an album titled A Thanksgiving to Remember, with a caption that read, "When one door closes, another opens," in the French Riviera. Thank you, Olivia, for reminding us what true family celebration feels like. The likes and comments flooded in. Even my parents' social circle was abuzz. Church friends, neighbors, country club members, all praising the beauty, asking why Catherine and Robert weren't there, wondering aloud about the villa and the fabulous celebration. Emma called first. Her voice sharp, confused. Why didn't you tell me? Anger and envy tangled in her tone. A villa in France, the whole family there. Mom's having a meltdown. I stood by the window, sunlight glittering across the water. Tell you, I said calmly. Like you told me about the twins' birthday. Or the summer barbecue. Or every little gathering I wasn't included in. That's different, those were small things. No, Emma. It's not different. You and Mom built an exclusive little world, and that's fine. I just built something better. Beat of silence. Then I heard one of the twins wailing in the background. Emma's voice dropped. Mom's devastated. Everyone's asking questions. The Hendersons even cancelled Christmas dinner to accept your New Year's invite. Blinked. I hadn't even announced my New Year's plans yet. Apparently, the family had done it for me. Well, I said. Mom got the quiet holiday she wanted. How was it? She hesitated. Boring, she finally admitted. Dad fell asleep during football. The twins were cranky. Mom kept checking her phone after your call. It wasn't like Thanksgiving should be. No, I agreed. It wasn't. After hanging up, I joined everyone for breakfast on the terrace. Uncle James was planning a boat tour. Aunt Marie and Sarah were organizing a trip to the local markets. The kids were torn between the beach and the pool. Someone suggested a vineyard picnic. That's when Dad called. Princess, he began, using that old soft tone. His negotiation voice. The one he used whenever I was expected to give up my plans for Emma's sake. Your mother and I have been talking. Dad, I'm about to head out on the boat with the family. Can this wait? That's what we wanted to discuss. Family unity. Your mother's very upset about all this. I watched my real family laughing, preparing for the day. I smiled sadly. I'm sure she is. I was upset too, Dad. For years. Every time you excluded me. Every time Emma's needs came first. The difference is, I did something positive with that hurt. He was quiet. But buying a villa, hosting a secret Thanksgiving without telling us? Like the times you planned holidays without inviting me? Doesn't feel great, does it? More silence. No, he finally said. It doesn't. Then enjoy your peaceful weekend, Dad. I need to go. Uncle James is waiting. The next few days were a blur of joy. Our boat tour along the coast. A wine tasting at a centuries-old vineyard. Cooking lessons with a local chef. Sunset dinners in the village square. More photos appeared online. More questions reached my parents. Their phones buzzed with the same realization over and over. They'd missed something extraordinary. Not just the villa, but the connection, the warmth. The daughter they'd underestimated. A week later, as the family began to pack and prepare for their flights home, Aunt Marie pulled me into a hug. Catherine tried to invite herself for Christmas, she whispered. I grinned. I know. But Christmas is already planned. I'm taking everyone to my chalet in the Swiss Alps. Her eyes widened. You have a chalet too. Bought it last spring, I said. It's time for new traditions, don't you think? As I waved goodbye to the final car pulling away from the villa, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Honey, about Christmas. Your father and I have been thinking. I left it unread. Let them think. Let them wonder. Let them feel what I've felt for years. Left out. Unchosen. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't confrontation. It's building something so breathtaking, so full of joy and love, that the ones who shut you out can only look on. And regret. As I stood on the terrace, the sea glittering beneath the setting sun, planning Christmas in Switzerland, I knew one thing with absolute clarity. I would never again spend a holiday feeling small, forgotten, or unwanted. I had created something better, something real. Tradition. Legacy. Family that chose me. And that was worth more than all the quiet dinners in the world.